Players will bounce back, just in practice, what are you sensing?
I hope good. In practice they've done a good job. I think sometimes though, these are like tricky situations where it's not acceptable to. And again, I'm probably more process focused, but there's also a competitor in there that says it's not okay to lose. You've got to visit that part of it, and fix it. But yet you can't let it like have an earth-shattering effect. Like this is the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like you got to find that balance between the two, and hopefully we found it. But we'll find out Saturday.
You haven't been in this position much. Does it make it more difficult to find this balance? You've lost 5 times since you moved back here to coach.
Yeah, I mean, last year we lost 2 in a row, and then we lost another big game. Because I mean, my first 2 seasons, I lost more games in the first 2 seasons than we did in however many 13 years after. Yeah, so we've been there. We know what it takes to be able to get a program over the top, and I've had experience with it. It's not always going to be a perfect transition, especially the way we want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think having experienced losing allows you to handle losing better, meaning I don't think losing's ever fun. So I guess, it's like one of those things. But no, I'm not going to go the other direction. We're still fighting. We're still on an upward trend, but sometimes it goes like this on the trend.
I know you wanted to maybe watch film before you comment on a couple of things from Michigan State, but just not to look too far back, but what are some of the things after you got a chance to rewatch the tape that I won't say are immediately correctable, but maybe just 2 or 3 observations that really, really stood out to you?
Yeah, things that we can correct. I didn't think we got, I'm sure on this, we didn't get in and out of actions very quickly. Our offense was very stagnant, didn't get to the next action consistently enough. And you need to get to multiple actions against them. I thought from a box out perspective that we did okay. I think what happened was a lot of the perimeter guys came in and crashed, and we didn't do a good job of staying engaged from a defensive perspective there. It wasn't a size issue as much as it was just you didn't box them out issue. That was the problem. So then on our end, I thought we offensive rebounded fine. I thought, a couple of those, like Isaiah got one big one early, and he got a foul called on him. And so those are tricky. There's a couple more in that first half where I thought we got boards where, probably should have gone our way.
Is it easier sometimes to point out mistakes after a loss? That they seem to be a little bit more receptive to what they did?
Yeah, I'm pretty good at pointing them out all the time. And that's like I told them going into the game. It's like, we were on them about defensive rebounding. Now, we were really on them about transition defense, and we were elite there. Mm-hmm. They had to go against our half-court defense the whole game, which was great. But, defensive rebounding, we're on them. Some of just creating your own energy. We need to make sure that we're more consistent with that. Offensively, getting to the next action and wanting to get to the next action, some of that stuff, we hadn't done a great job of in practice either. So it's got to be better.
What about Maryland concerns you most, I guess?
They're another good offensive rebounding team historically. They do play pretty fast. I don't know how fast their possessions are this year. I haven't checked that, but historically they've played fast. Multi-defense team. And then obviously they got a really good big guy in Farrell Payne, who's elite. So is it Farrell Payne? Yep. Who's elite, and then their guards are obviously very athletic, get downhill, and obviously Coach Williams can coach a little bit too.
How do you assign out your scouts for your assistants? Do you have a rhyme or reason to who gets what scout, or?
Not really. It's kind of whoever picks who. Some people like different ones. Some people like different matchups. So they pick them, and then we kind of order them based on where we're going next. So you don't want a guy that has 3 scouts in a row.
Yeah.
He'll have a scout and then 4 games off, and then a scout, and kind of go from there.
Alvaro's struggled a little bit the last 3 games. I know part of that's he's been in foul trouble, but what do you feel like he needs to do to kind of get in more of a rhythm?
Yeah, he's been in foul trouble, like you said. I think that the one game was really tricky just because of the switching. It's a unique style. And then the next game was drop coverage, and he got in foul trouble really early in that one. And then this one, he got in foul trouble as well. I thought he was playing good. He's just got to kind of get in flow with the offense, and then defensively make sure that he's there. And it's got to happen in practice. You know, we've tried to call more fouls on him in practice. 2 of his fouls were, I mean, those were tough calls. The illegal screen and the block, but you know that's going to happen in games. So when that happens, you can't allow that. Like you can't. Every call isn't going to be right, and that's okay. Like that's the cool part about college basketball. But what you can't do is, you know, all of a sudden just grab somebody for no reason. Okay, that one is the problem. We need to fix that one because that's the one you can control, right? Regardless of if you agree or disagree with any of the others, control the one that okay, you can't do that, right? And so then we need to get him, then he can stay in rhythm a lot longer. Is kind of, you know, he's got to stay out of foul trouble. He's got to stop fouling.
How much would a nice crowd help you guys? You just came from a place where the crowd's there. How much can you guys benefit from that tomorrow?
A lot, you know, and we've worked for it. You know, I mean, I've been out and we'll continue to work for it, continue to fight for it. And again, it's can we create that home court advantage? Can we create a fun atmosphere? And you know, hopefully we can do that in a Big Ten game on Saturday.
You know, I know Bennett's #1 scoring option. You have a bunch of guys that are capable of stepping up and scoring, but over the course of the season, I mean, do you feel like in order to take the next step offensively for you guys, you need to have kind of that established maybe 2 second and third scorer that can kind of create their own shot, or how are you kind of approaching that?
I do, yes. It's difficult to leverage the defense if you don't have multiple. It's also difficult to leverage a defense if your screener isn't as big a threat as you need him to be. And so we're trying to figure out exactly how we're going to do that. You know, like where is that secondary leverage, the third leverage? Like how can you make the defense afraid of you to create rotations? And you know, we haven't totally found that yet, but we're searching. And I think, you know, we've got some solutions. Whether or not they work in the game we'll find out here Saturday.
I think I know what I'm talking about here. Tell me if I'm off base though.
You're off. I can already tell.
I usually am. So, but can you explain how you guys use bear down screens in offense?
What in particular? Like what screens when I come up and do what?
Start on one side of the defender and then flip
Twist.
it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying you don't set the screen actually. So you come up on one side and then you switch to the other side and set the screen.
Yes. Yep. So that'd be a twist, a hook, or whatever you want to call it. We've done that a lot over the years. It started 2000. So, gosh, when was that? Man, it was the year. You were undefeated. What was that? 2019. 2019. So 2019. Well, we started twisting them before that when we got switched a lot. So we started twisting them, but then really started doing that stuff even more in 19. We got beat in a scrimmage. Thought we were going to be awful. Played a true 5, and then we just played a bunch of 6'8" guys that could shoot, 3 of them. All of them shot high percentage from 3. And we're like, okay, so whoever has the matchup is going to set the screen. So they'd come off Trevor Hudgens, Diego Bernard would come off a ball screen, and they'd hit a pick and pop, and then we'd start creating the dominoes and the rotations based off of that. Well, then teams started to switch us or started to give us shows variety of coverages, so then we tried to start to confuse the switch. And when you start to confuse the switch, you know, then there's some disruption, then you can create rotations because somebody's got to help. Once you create the rotation, now the dominoes fall, and then you're trying to get buckets. So to answer your question in regards to that, I would say we started using them with my first point guard, Deshaun Cooper, just started twisting him to get downhill. Then we started twisting them to confuse switches. This group twists for other reasons that I'll share with you at the end of the season.
Is that the screener that makes those decisions?
Yep, yep, screener does. You gotta have elite screeners. That's if there's a most important, if there's 1A, 1B, the screener's 1A or 1B. You have to have elite screeners. If you have elite smart screeners, that's kind of the trick. If you're Gonzaga, if you're Purdue, and you got those bigs that are massive, and just go screen it. What are you gonna do? You know, but if you have the lineups that we have, sometimes we've got to be a little more creative.
With the rebounding, just seeing what happened against Michigan State, is that going to be a bigger emphasis going forward? Has that always been a big emphasis for you, and how much bigger will it be going forward?
Yeah, it is a big emphasis. That's like the first thing we do all year. And I think our defensive rebounding percentage going into that game was pretty good. I'd have to check to be sure. Our last year's team, which sometimes played a guy named Daniel Abreu that was 6'5", was I think top 15, top 20 maybe in the country in defensive rebounding, somewhere in that range. And even when we play big teams, it wasn't a problem whatsoever. Defensive rebounding is a little more about, obviously, if you have just a massive 7'2" guy, then your box outs don't have to be as good. You don't have to gang rebound. You don't have to help with that stuff. But if you don't, which is what we've had in the past, then everybody needs to consistently do that. And we didn't consistently do that in that game. And so then they were able to crash from the perimeter a little bit more. It's an emphasis. It'll continue to be an emphasis. And hopefully we'll continue to get better with it and be able to get some defensive rebounds.
I know you mentioned that part of the rebounding, but how much do you think Michigan State's size, because they are a tall team, how much do you think their size played a factor in how the rebounding battle went?
I don't think much at all. How many offensive rebounds did Jackson Kohler get? Or Jackson, not Kohler, Cooper. Cooper was bigger. He was
Cooper.
he's 6'10",
Carson Cooper.
6'11".
Yeah.
Kohler's measured at 6'8". I think he was measured without shoes at one point.
6'8",
Oh.
I think he's 6'9" on the roster, maybe.
I think so,
Yeah.
Yep. That's Cam's height. Cooper Koch is bigger than Trey Ford. Trey Ford is just really athletic. Trey Ford. Cohen Carr.
Yeah.
Gosh. And then they're 6'3" at the next guard, and I think we're 6'3", 6'4", and then Bennett's 6'4", 6'3.5" without shoes, to be exact. So I don't think it was size. Now, I will say this, those guys have been in the program for 4 and 5 years, and so they've been in a weight program for 4 or 5 years. Now, that makes a difference. And that's something that we've addressed the day we got here. But, barring taking illegal and performance enhancement drugs, like it's going to take a little time to get some beef on some of them. But like you look at those guys. You look at those guys when they were freshmen, and even the kids that I've had in the past, and they just get bigger and stronger and bigger and stronger. And then over time, now you're a third-year guy, and it's like, okay, I'm stronger than you because I'm a grown man and you're not. But height, not the issue. Probably more the girth is probably more the issue.
What did you think of the zone? Or were you too focused to even pay any attention to it, the student section, which is right on top of you?
Well, it's great. They do a great job. Their fans are awesome. Their crowd is great. They understand basketball. They're confrontational with you without being absurd. Like they do a good job. They do a great job. I think the gym itself, the Breslin Center, sets up perfect for what you're looking for because the students are all around, and then it's not very far, and then a lot of their donors are sitting right there. So it's really, because the Carver's a little bit further back, if you put those students in there, then which we've tried to do and will continue to do, that's how you try to create that atmosphere. But no, it's a great atmosphere.